Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another tutorial on the channel. Today we are looking at the Minecraft secret shortcuts that the Minecraft billionaires don't want you to know about. Alright, and we're kicking things off with inventory management, starting with shift and click, right? This will send everything into your hotbar or into the first available slot, going from here all the way through up to the top, right? Then you can also go into your inventory and use shift click to immediately equip the armor, or you could right click. Whoops, no, that's a chest. Right click the armor on like so. Now you have all your armor set. Right clicking on a stack of items will split it in half. Picking up a stack and holding down the left mouse button while dragging will split the stack in between how many ever slots you want. Or you can pick up a stack and hold down the right mouse button and distribute one item per slot like so. Double clicking an item will bring it back to a stack. Picking up an item, holding shift and then double clicking will take all of that items from a container into your inventory, or vice versa. And then we know that Q can drop an item out of your inventory one by one, but if you hold control you can drop an entire stack, and if you're holding control and Q and drag your mouse over the items, you can drop multiple stacks very quickly. Shift clicking can also take all your items out of your hotbar and into your inventory and back into your hotbar just like this, but you can also use the 1 to 9 keys to select which hotbar slot you want things to go into. So if I want the pickaxe to go into the first slot and the sword in the second, axe in the third, shovel in the fourth, and the hoe in the fifth, then that's how I would do it. And now on to some creative control menus. And first off, there's the 1 to 9 keys that can fill your hotbar with a full stack of whatever block you want. You can use the middle mouse to pick up a whole stack instead of the regular one, like that. You can also pick a block and then hold the middle mouse button to fill out your inventory with full stacks, which is specifically helpful when you're trying to fill out chests with full stacks of items like that. Going back into your creative inventory, you can also drop items to destroy them there, of course, but you can also hold shift and click on the X to just remove everything. Now onto this little tab over here called Save Toolbars, where you can use C plus 1 through 9 to save toolbar configurations like this one. So if I go out and take C and 1, I have now saved that to this. So if I clear out my inventory and then press X and 1, I can reload that toolbar configuration, and the same goes for everyone up until 9. This is especially useful for saving some hotbar configurations like building or redstone related like this. Alright, now on to one of my favorites, pick block. Now, yes, we all know pick block. If you're looking at a block and you press middle mouse button, by default, it will put that item into your hotbar in creative. Or if you have it in your inventory, it will add it to your hotbar in survival in the first available slot that doesn't have an enchanted item in it. I know, a lot to take in, but did you know that if you held control and then pick blocked, it actually copies the NBT data so that when you put it down, oh, the items are still there. This is especially useful when you're doing redstone contraptions that require containers with signal strength outputs and all that sort of stuff. But my personal favorite use for this is copying actual signs like these ones, because no one has the time when you're, at least when you're designing, to be typing all of these things out. So you just copy the NPT data and then boom, you got yourself a bunch of copied signs. And if you're finding any of this useful, I would very much appreciate a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. Moving on. Now it's time for one that is an absolute game changer when I found this out, right? Let's say you have some blocks here that you want to replace, but they're not attached to another block. So like normally you would break the block, you would put that there, boom, okay, cool, right? Now you've replaced the block. But what if I told you you could just do that? Cool, right? Left and right mouse button, that's all you need, right? You don't need a back block to actually put it against. If you're just aiming at that block, pressing both the mouse keys at once, you will instantaneously replace that block with another one. Very cool. And especially useful if you're building redstone and you want to replace something with maybe some ice and you don't want the water stream to flow all over your redstone. this is a great way of doing that. Next up is a quick little tip for trading with villagers, right? So if you shift click, you will add as much as possible to this slot to be able to trade with him. If you shift click the emeralds out, you will also trade the maximum amount that you can trade in this configuration. But did you know that if you were still holding shift and you press space, it will refill this to the most that it can, and that way you could just keep doing space and click, space and click, space and click. And this at the start, when you're dealing with villagers that don't have their trades down to 1 yet, is invaluable. Right, and now we're moving on to the F3 shortcuts, and if you can't remember any of them, at least remember this one. F3Q brings up the entire list of all of the commands. Now, I'm showing you guys this one first because I'm not actually going to go through all of them. Not all of them are useful to the average player. First up is F3B, which brings up the hitboxes of entities. And this is especially useful if you're working with farms where you need to pay attention to line of sight. Also useful for getting villagers out of boats or minecarts, or finding items that you have dropped into dark water. F3 and C will copy your location and rotation to the clipboard so that you can use it for setting up TP commands in your world. Just don't hold it for a while because that will trigger a crash. F3 and D will clear your chat history. F3 and G will bring up chunk borders, which is especially helpful if you're working on chunk reliant farms like slime farms. It's also pretty useful if you're working on redstone, where you don't want specific slices or circuits to be interrupted by a chunk border. Anyone who has ever built a multi-item sorter will know exactly what I'm talking about. And yes, this is a sneak peek at the next episode of Random Craft. The next one you only need do once. F3 and H brings up advanced tooltips. And for most players, what that means is that you can actually see the durability on your items. It does show a couple of extra infos for anyone that needs that as well. F3 and N cycles between spectator mode and the previous game mode, so in this case creative. F3 and P toggles pause on lost focus, so for anyone who alt tabs quite a lot, this is very useful, so the game doesn't pause every time you leave. The next one is F3 and T, and that reloads your resource packs, which is good if you need to reload a resource pack or if you're testing resource packs. But my favorite way to use it is to come into something like this wood farm, where you actually need to hold down to plant trees so that you can farm the wood. But if you're holding down a button while you're reloading your resource packs and you then leave the button, when you come back, the game won't know that you have left the button. So it'll keep pressing. I can now get up, make myself a cup of tea, and come back, and I'll have some wood farmed for me. And there we have it, folks. Those are all the secret shortcuts that Minecraft doesn't want you to know. Please let me know down in the comments which ones you found most useful, and if there were any ones that I missed apart from the few F3 ones that I skipped. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a fantastic day, and see ya!